guys, welcome to my channel. Kiva here today, and today we're going to be doing a March book wrap up. Yes, I've read 11 books this month, which is really great, hitting my target, and I've had an amazing month of book reading. So let's get into it. So the first book that I've read this month was The Perfect Stranger by J.T. Geissinger. And I have to say, this book started off my month where it follows Olivia and James' story. Olivia is in France, and we all know something happened tragically in her life, and she's there to regain herself and to write a book because she hasn't write in a while. And to be honest, she's there, she's not getting any inspiration, but she went out and she met this guy named James. Now bear in mind, James is an artist, and he asks her to be one of his muse, or one of his persons that he wants to draw. And he's there, they build a relationship. Something is a little bit off about James from the get-go, and I'm like, okay, I could tell that something is the way that they describe him and the way that he behaves. But when it all comes down to it, they end up in a relationship and they say they're not good. It's just for the time being until she goes back to the States and get her life together. So it's just a Paris fling. Before you know it, they're more than just a Paris fling, and James is more than what she thinks it is. And I remember reading the book when she finds out James is more than what she thinks it is. He is. It's just amazing. This book was a book in a book in a book, and I just love the entire thing. You have to go and read it to experience it, because some parts of you just feel like maybe this is not real, or what I'm reading is not real. What is the real story? That's the question that was asked. But it was a good read. And then we move on to Lucid Dreams by Lady Natisha. This is the story where it follows a twin day and night as they move past their tragic childhood. Their dad died violently, and their mom never recovered, and they had to fend for themselves. And it shows their Night is the main character, where he meets Hunter. And I mean, like, the entire story was a beautiful one. And I mean, Hunter is in a family where the mother chose to give birth to Hunter because she had cancer. The mother had the option of aborting her or keeping her, and the father is resentful. The brothers didn't care for her or stood up for her. Most of the time they didn't, and when they did stood up for her, it was nothing much done. So Hunter is out there having this whole life not feeling any form of love. She ended up with her boyfriend, and it turned out, and she is a baby mama, and she has a beautiful son with this man, and this man doesn't care for anything. He has babies all about the place, and also a wife. And I mean, like, come on, he's like out there doing the most, and it's not even a wife, sorry, a whole girlfriend. To how they live together, I was thinking that they were a wife and was one. But at the end of the day, he's there wanting back Hunter, and Hunter don't want him because she's doing better for herself, and she just don't interested in all of that. She met Night at a party, and they hit it off, and it turned out that they were so connected. And I mean, the things that Hunter was looking for, Night gave it to her. and the things that Knight was looking for, he was getting it also. And also Hunter was such a big integral part in the twins' life. She did not live out there. And I mean, like, there was a comic relief. He was crazy. And I mean, when you all find out what really took place, because as I said, they were so connected, their lives were intertwined. When they finally found out who was Hunter's family and how it affected day and night's life, I mean, like, the whole entire shindig was like, but it was rare, was a worthy read. And I mean, like, it was definitely worth reading, a 5-star read. And I mean, like, Lady Nisha was actually, this is her second book that I'm reading for her. It's amazing. I mean, like, she's always, her pen game is actually on point, and I love how she actually put these things together. I mean, it was good. So let's move on to the third read of the month. Was Sweet Revenge by Viano. I'm not going to pronounce that. Just the Sweetest Revenge. I'm not going to spoil any author's name. So Joy was being sexually assaulted by a co-worker, and she decided that she's going to get her revenge. And she summoned a demon, and the demon name is Malachi. Upon this, she said she's going to give her body for her sacrifice. And she went about, Malachi and Joy went about taunting this young man until she ended up killing him. Right? She fell in love with Malachi, and Malachi fell in love with her. And he was just waiting on the moment where she just gave her all to him. But they had a time limit. So based on the contract, it was up till they ended this person's life together. And they end up being together forever. It was such a cute read. I mean, like, trigger warnings, because this is not just like the everyday thing. As I said, this person was sexually assaulted before, and I mean, they got their revenge and fall in love. It's a good story, so you can go and read it. One Week in Paradise by Ennis Starr, and this followed the story of Bailey and Cash. Bailey is a influencer that something went down with, a viral video went out, and Cash is her her brother best friend. Bear in mind, Cash is seen as the grumpy person that never liked her from childhood, but secretly loves her. But because he and her brother made a pact to say, don't touch my sister, and we'll be good. But eventually he's like, the brother is the one that instigating the whole thing, because when Bailey went back home, she was, after that video, she was like down and out, and she was like, nobody wants to work with me. I am so scared to actually post because of the trolls. And there's a brand that send a PR package for her to go to Jamaica. Her brother was like, oh, bring Cash with you as a pub date, fake date. And I mean, like, they end up learning that they actually love each other. From that time, she get to be introduced to the new Cash, or the Cash that she did not actually know from before, because every time it was like, he did not like me. So whatever the situation is, as for me, I don't like miscommunication tropes. So eventually when they actually got the information out, I was happy and gone with the wind. But it was a really nice contemporary romance, and I loved it. It was just like a soft, nice little book, falling in love. I mean, there's 2 more books to the story, to the series, sorry, and I will be definitely reading them eventually. And so we move on to Heiress of Roses by Asia Monet. I mean, like, it's book 2 in the Cartel Element series. If where the first book is with her twin Adrian, and this is following Lexi and Dante's story. Lexi is forced to marry, and Dante is her brother's former best friend that actually did something in the past to the brother, and nobody forgives him. The story follows them as Lexi wants to be queen of the cartel, and her father doesn't think that she's supposed to be without a man, and he's lining up all kind of different persons. She's going on different dates, and one of these dates turned out to be one of the ops, as I would say. And Dante is just trying to redeem himself in these people's eyes, because these are these are the people that groomed him to be the person that he is, and he felt out. He's just trying to bring himself back up into the light of these persons. And I mean, like, the entire story was a wild ride of Dante trying to prove himself while Lexi is just trying not to fall in love with this man. And come on, she can't help herself. Dante is such a great catch, and eventually they end up together. There's so many highs and lows. It's just a whole roller coaster of emotion when you read it, and I loved it. Asia Monet, this is her as I said, the second book, and I've read the first book and I loved it. This one I definitely love. And I love how Dante is like very encouraging of her to be her best version of herself. He was not like, oh, you need to, women in their society is used. He's like, okay, I'm gonna praise up my girl because she is the boss. Yeah, it's definitely a good read, and I encourage anybody to go out and read it. And then I read Asylum by B. Love. Let me tell you this. This is the first time I'm reading a B. Love book, and I love Asylum. I'm not going to joke. This is a second chance romance book, and I mean, like, from the get-go, you just have to just love this book. First and foremost, what happened is daughter I is getting a divorce from her husband, and the husband is like, okay, we got divorced, so now let's move on with our lives, because the marriage was what was putting a damper on our situation. Now that this pressure has been alleviated, we can move on with our life. Bear in mind, this man has cheated on her, gotten a baby outside of their marriage, and she's supposed to do what? Now this man is very much obsessed with her, and he's of the notion that if he can't have her, no one else will. So he went off to do a whole lot of things to get her to come back to him. And we're not talking about, oh no, graveling and stuff. He did the demented stuff. He's burning down her house, and that's how she gets back into the love of her life. And Asylum was there upon that time when the house was burning down. He saved her, brought her to the hospital and everything. And I remember just reading their first interaction when she became conscious again. You just realize that they had such a beautiful love story back then when they were younger, and they instantly connected back again. And I mean, like, you got to love that. The way that B Love actually wrote their love story is like, so many things happen. The thing about Asylum, and that's what his name is that they were together in college, madly in love, but so many things are happening. They were just going into their careers, and they didn't have enough time to be actually working on their relationship. They were actually engaged. When they call it quits, Asylum went out on a one-night stand, got a lady pregnant. Turned out that years after, the lady saying that she knew that it was not his child. This was the reason for the permanent separation between him and daughter I. And I mean, like, when they finally come back, and he was protecting her, because bad boy is in the protection life story. Protection. He's in the protection business. He helps battered women, people that are on hiding from whatever. You know, people just out there and need little protection. He's the person for it. And when he constantly sees the different things happening, and he's like wondering, okay, he's not going to stop, he's just gonna constantly do it. She's like, okay, I'm just going to get myself, put you at my house because it's the safest place ever. They actually start working on their relationship, and I mean, like, it builds into a beautiful love story. And I mean, Asylum don't play about his daughter, right? And I mean, like, he had a daughter. There were so many things happening in this book, and I just love the entire story. You guys, you need to actually read Asylum by B Love, and watch how Asylum and daughter are falling in love as they navigate their new no store life, and with everything that is in it and what is going on. That man didn't play with her. Definitely. He doesn't play with none of his girls. Then we went A Wife for Sale by Aubrey Penn. This is not the first time I'm reading an Aubrey Penn book. A Date for the Mirror is a part of this series. This is the first book of the series. And I mean, like, I have to love it. And I mean, like, come on. A Wife for Sale. I don't know how these authors do it, because when you're reading these books and you just instantly dislike their partners, they're no partners. And I mean, Wife for Sale was one of those books where the husband mess up and the wife is being taken for the payment. So imagine this man has lost everything. I mean, the house, the car, the businesses, everything. And on your anniversary night, and instead of coming to the restaurant that you guys have planned this dinner for, he left to go to his mistress because he needs comfort. So now you're there at the restaurant thinking about to leave, but you met this fine, handsome gentleman that is offering his presence, and he's offering you a night. And he says, once you come out of this elevator, everything changes. And everything did change, because at this present time, you go home just feeling your inner sexy coming out, because this man have treated you the night before. Nothing that this man has done could ever top what your husband has done for you in the last couple of years. No, bear in mind, you went home. Yes, and it's a cheating trope. So if you don't like it, guys, don't read it. It's the girl cheated on her husband. Her husband was cheating on her for several years. Now bear in mind, young lady daughter-in Rena, and she was home, and the husband was like, why are you spending all this money? And she's like, what? She felt guilty about doing what she did before. She did not feel guilty anymore. And I mean, like, it proceeded to, because of everything happened and he lost everything, the husband lost everything, meaning she was not privy to all of this information. It was the mistress who was feeling burned because he told her to leave the houses and left the car because they're no longer his. And the mistress went out in the streets and saying, yo, why are you so bitter and everything? Now she comes home about to bust this nigga's face. And up in this moment, the doorbell rings, and this is the handsome stranger from the night before. No, she's wondering why he's here. He's here to collect debt. This man owes him, and he took her also. So I mean, like, they said soft kidnapping, so that was a soft kidnapping. She went along, and I mean, like, this young man changed her life and made her see herself in the way that she supposed to, because she's a queen, and he saw her in that light, so he wanted her to see it for herself. I mean, like, the book was really nice, but some parts I didn't like. Like, she was fussing about some stuff, and all you need to do was ask for what you want and what you deserve. She's like, oh, I've always been a hustler and all of that. Nah, sweetie, ask. I mean, like, be love. Um, Baby Love was like, nah. She was like on some stuff, and Azel was so patient with her and very kind. He loved her the way that she wanted to be loved, and she brought such a light in his life, and everybody could see it from a mile away. Guys, you need to read Aubrey Penn, A Wife for Sale. So we move on to Alleged by Tiffany D. Jackson. And if I could remember, I was telling you guys that I actually wanted to read more thrillers. And this was something. If I said I was prepared, I was not prepared. Alleged give me the highs and the lows. I mean, like, it brought out so many things. This young lady is coming from baby prison, as she call it, and she's in a hole, and she's trying to navigate this home from, you know, she was accused of killing a baby, a white baby. And the story follows her life throughout this home, and it shows how the system is not doing enough for these kids. And I mean, come on, the entire time this book was going on, you heard Mary story and how she had to take care of her mom between those times, and it was just a whole thing. It was a mind-boggling book, and I mean, like, I loved it. As I said, getting into more thrillers, you have to prepare yourself, and no matter what you prepare yourself for, it's not what you prepare yourself for. The book was actually awesome, and it showed up how so many times kids are there taking care of their parents, and they will snap and do things out of the ordinary. And I mean, like, the twist at the end was not needed, but I was like, okay, the book was quite okay and on the track that it was. But I mean, Tiffany D. Jackson actually showed up so many things, and I had to love this book, and it was an amazing read. But we move on to Come Through, which is the third book after A Wife for Sale by Aubrey Penn. This book is following Gio and Serenity's story. I mean, to be honest, can I say these three books that are in a series is the three most random books. I'm not sure. This is the three most random books that I've ever seen put together for a series. But it follows Gio and Serenity's story. Gio is coming from prison, and he's decided that he's not going to be on all of that rah stuff from before. He wants to be low-key, get his bag, but his best friend is not on all of that. He loves the excitement, and he's like, okay, listen, we are going to throw you a welcome home party because I already planned it, only to find out this man is on some wild stuff. He ended up getting himself locked up, and he told you to take care of his sister, and his sister is the only girl that you ever have eyes for. Your heart belongs to her. Serenity, on the other hand, is in love with you for the longest of while, but can't do anything because she knows that you guys made a pact not to touch each other's sister, because Serenity and Gio's sister are actually really good friends, and you're like, you're home with her, watching her from across the street, ensuring that everything is okay with her, and you're saying to yourself, like, my best friend can be upset with me, but that's not going to last forever. But me seeing her with another man is going to mess with me for my rest of my life. So what am I going to do? I'm going to choose her all the time. So he went and proceed and move on with their lives and moving from just being the best friend brother that needs to protect his sister, the best friend brother sister that needs to be protected. And I mean, like, the story was such an up and down. It told so many things, how Serenity wanted to come out of the hood, and he's just willing to actually give her everything that she wanted. He's like, okay, you're on some wild stuff. You're not going to be going to that shop anymore. You have a talent. You need to embrace your own talent. Get your stuff together. He's going to make it happen. Start doing hair. And the relationship went into so much more. And it was such a beautiful love story. You just had to love it. I mean, like, he's like, okay, I want to come out of the streets and I want to come out of the hood because my girl needs me. But you can't really come out of the hood fully and come out of the game fully. It's always going to call you back. And that was one of those situations that had been occurring. And the story was beautiful. It was beautifully written, and I really love how RB Payne writes. I mean, you can't really not love her writing at this point in time. This is her third book, and I mean, like, she has never failed to actually write a beautiful love story. No, we went to Dark Hearts by Gray Huffington. This is a short story where Dark and Heart and Day become intertwined. Day is a nurse, and Dark has been seeing her around for a good while. It ended up that he got hurt and he went to her house to actually get help, and he left her with a number, and she was like, oh, if I'm voting, if she should call. So, you know, she was like, okay, let me call, and then she chickened out and not, you know, made end up the call. And he saw her outside of her building. He was like, all you need to do is call, mama, and I would be here. And the love story continued and how they end up together. As I said, it was a short story and a quick read. As I said, Gray Huffington can't really do anything wrong for me at this point in time. Even though it was a short story, you would wish it was a long story to get into it, to actually be more immersed into it. I mean, Gray Huffington, you need to check it out. It was a short love story. They actually come together. He's like providing for her. It's such a, as I said, beautiful love story. Into the Shadow by In the Shadow of the Fall by Tobi. And as I said, I'm not going to mispronounce any author's name. This is my first arc read. It follows the story of Ashike as she navigates the life that she thinks that she was supposed to live comparing to what she's supposed to be doing. Now, Ashike is an acolyte wanting to be a priestess and never got chosen, and she's wondering why. Now, she takes the matter into her own hand and saying that she's going to actually catch an Orisha to actually get some answers. When that happened, something happened, it blows up, she get injured, and they were like about to penalize her. And for this, she was went back to the place, and she was like, okay, if the Orishas don't want me, why am I here? And I'm not going to sit here and just waste my time. She escaped, and she decided to go on her journey. And I mean, come on, the girl met with some bunch of people, and she's like, they were telling her all the Orishas are dead. So whatever you're talking about, they haven't heard from the Orishas for years and years. No, she found out so many things upon this journey, and it's the chosen one trope, and it found out that she was so much more than to be a priestess. That's why she was not, and the reason for her not being or hearing from the Orishas is because she was destined to be more for these Orishas. She is the plan for the Orishas. And you know, it was it's first and foremost, it's not a long story. It's a quick read, and I have to give it up to the author for writing such a beautiful novella. And it's a fantasy novella, by the way. I mean, like, you ever read a fantasy book and you see how much things need to be in it to ensure that there's no plot hole? This book is a novella. It hit everything. The plot was making sense. This girl needs to go on this journey to find out who she really is, and upon finding out who she really is, things blow out and there's more to it. There's going to be a book too because it ended on a cliffhanger, and I can't wait to actually read it. Hopefully I get an arcade again for it. And I mean, this is going to be released in July. It's such a beautiful story. As I said, it's a fantasy novel, and it's fantasy novella, sorry, and it's not very long. As I said, March was a beautiful month, and I mean, like, the highs and the lows. It the mean that the lows, that is just the feeling how these books give me. I mean, like, March was such a beautiful month, and I hope April is the same. Come on, 11 books, 11 great reads, 11 different type of books, and actually getting to experience different authors for the first time. I mean, I don't regret anything in March. So guys, until next time, bye.